Welcome to Amateur Rig Veda, where I try to learn more about the Rig Veda using an English translation. Today we have Hymn 3 by Ralph T. Griffith. Let's begin. Ye Ashwins, rich in treasure, lords of splendor, having nimble hands, accept the sacrificial food. Okay, beautiful. We've been introduced to a new character here, the Ashwins. And we know previously we've come across Agni, Vayu, Indra, Varuna, and Mitra. And now we're being introduced to Ashwins. Now, previously from hymns 1 and 2, there were certain defining traits or descriptive traits or qualities, or the hymns spoke about qualities that these entities or gods or heroes have. Like Agni is the Hotar, Vayu and Indra were rich in spoil, so we deduced, okay, they're probably related to the military, and Varuna and Mitra were the cherishers of laws, so we deduced, okay, they're probably related to administration, and Varuna and Mitra have wide dominion, so they're probably rulers as well. And now we have the Ashwins, and let's see what the hymns have to tell us about the Ashwins. Probably they're defining traits for the Ashwins as well. Ye Ashwins, ye is just a plural of thou, so ye is like referring to more than, so it effectively says Ashwin is not one, it's like more than one, and those of us who grew up in India, we know there are two Ashwins rather than one, but if we didn't know that, it's just more than one. Rich in treasure. Okay, treasure is something, it's a collection of valuable objects like money or jewels, and that I find very interesting because Agni is rich in heroes, Vayu and Indra are rich in spoil, Varuna and Mitra are of wide dominion, and here Ashwins are rich in treasure, so they are rich in valuable, they have a lot of valuable objects. So it's very nice as we progress along the hymns that each of these entities appear to be rich in different things. So it would appear that these entities are not one and the same, and they appear to have different areas of expertise. Lords of splendor. Okay, Lord is a title. In this case, I feel it's referring to Ashwins probably having influence or being lords of some land, and lords of splendor. And splendor is great light, luster, brilliance. So in this case, I feel, or magnificent appearance, display, or grandeur. So I feel in this case, when the hymn says lots of splendor, it's not that the Ashwins are lords of splendor itself, or they are the lords of brilliance or magnificent appearance. I feel they're lords, that is first, and they have a magnificent appearance, so they're good looking gods. I think that's what the line is trying to say. Having nimble hands, and nimble is being adept, or I feel, okay, having skill in your fingers. Now those of us who grew up in India, we know the Ashwins are medical gods, so if you know that, this line probably makes sense straight away. If they are related to the medicine, if they're related to the medical profession, having nimble hands helps. Now, if we didn't know that, that would be, for me, a defining trait, because Agni is a Hotar, Vayu and Indra they haven't been referred to have nimble hands, neither are Varuna and Mitra, whereas for the Ashwins, it's quite specific, they have nimble hands. So that appears to be a defining trait. It hasn't been revealed yet that they deal in medicine, so perhaps as we go along in the hymns, it'll be revealed to us. And finally, accept the sacrificial food. Okay, so sacrifice in this case, okay, it appears that it's some sort of offering. We've had libations been spoken about before, and we know libations is some sort of a drink that's offered to the gods. And now we have sacrificial food. So sacrifice appears to be something that you have to burn before offering to the gods. Now we've also had soma being offered to the gods. So let's see as we go along what this sacrificial offering means. Let's go to the next line. Ye Ashwins, rich in wondrous deeds, ye heroes worthy of our praise, accept our songs with mighty thought. Beautiful, beautiful. Ye Ashwins, rich in wondrous deeds. So Ashwins appear to be entities who have performed wondrous deeds before, and they're heroes worthy of praise, and the invokers are asking the Ashwins to accept their songs with mighty thought. So what is that mighty thought over there? It's not very clear to me right now. So I hope as we go along, more is revealed to us about that. So let's see how it goes. Let's go to the next line. Nasatyas, wonder workers, yours are these libations with clipped grass. Come ye whose paths are terrible. Wow. So the hymn is referring to the Ashwins as Nasatyas, and without more background information, for me, that's probably how. Actually, no. Let me not go in that direction because I checked it up on the web, and Nasatyas is one of the names of the Ashwins. There are two Ashwins, and one of them is named Nasatya. Now, if I did not have that information, it would not be very clear if that line is speaking about the Ashwins or if the line is introducing a new character over here. So yeah, that's the reason why I know that's related to the Ashwins is because I checked it up on the web. And if I didn't know that, yeah, I would not know that Nasatyas are basically being referred to as Ashwins. Okay, Nasatyas are wonder workers. Wonder workers are essentially those who perform miracles. Yours are these libations with clipped grass, and clipped is just clipped grass, grass that is cut. And I feel that's probably related to soma, which has to be pressed or you get drops of soma. But let's see if we get more details on that. Come ye whose paths are terrible. Now that's a very interesting line. Ashwin's paths are terrible. They take a terrible path. Terrible is something that causes terror, alarm, fear. I feel essentially a negative emotion. And that's very interesting. Without more information here, if you already know that Ashwins are related to medicine or are medical gods, it's fine. It's probably okay. Their paths are terrible, probably because they're performing some sort of medical procedures, and people are always in fear if the procedure will work out or not. If that is not the case, if we did not have that information, I would associate Ashwins with the military or with warfare. So let's see if the hymns tell us more about what area of expertise the Ashwins are related to. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's see what we know about the Ashwins. They're rich in treasure, they're bright looking, lots of splendor, they have nimble hands, they're heroes, and they're wonder workers. So if I had to pick out a defining trait for the Ashwins, like Agni is a Hotar, Vayu and Indra, rich in spoiler related to the military, Varuna and Mitra are cherishers of law, I would say Ashwins have nimble hands because we have others being heroes or gods, and Vayu and Indra and Agni is radiant, so bright looking, doesn't make much of a difference, and rich in treasure, the other entities are also rich in treasure. So it's either nimble hands and wonder workers. So I'll go with nimble hands for now as an identifying trait for the Ashwins. And the Ashwins are Nasatyas and of terrible paths. And that Nasatya part, I'll keep that in mind for now because I found that out on the web. And if I did not know that, I would not immediately relate that to the Ashwins. So let's go to the next line. O Indra, marvelously bright, come, these libations long for thee, thus by fine fingers purified. Now, before I proceed to talk about this line, I feel this line shifting to Indra is perhaps the only reason I would think of Nasatyas being associated with the Ashwins. Or maybe not. Maybe I would think Nasatyas would be associated with Indra. Okay, anyway, I'm just going to drop that discussion on Nasatyas for now and hope that as we go along, the hymns will somehow connect Nasatyas with Ashwins. What I'm trying to get at is, okay, it's not very clear that Ashwins are Nasatyas right now. So let's see. Let me go back to line number 4, which is talking about Indra being marvelously bright. So, oh Indra, marvelously bright. So far, being marvelously bright doesn't appear to be a defining trait for me because all the entities appear to be bright in some form. Come these libations, long for thee, thus by fine fingers purified. I feel this is the way the translations go, and perhaps the original Sanskrit text also speaks in this fashion. Now, the first line is reasonably straightforward. O Indra, marvelously bright, come these libations long for thee. The next line, thus by fine fingers purified. I feel over there, which when it says fine is essentially to make finer, purer, or from less. I think less coarse, perhaps, would be the thing that I'm looking for here. Thus by fine fingers purified, I feel what that line's trying to say is something is being purified through the fingers, or something is being made fine through the fingers, like running sand through your fingers. Fine sand falls down and lumps of sand that are more coarse get stuck above the fingers. I think that's what that line is trying to say. I'm somewhere around hymn 80 and I feel you come across these kind of descriptions often in the hymns, where the translation of Ralph T. Griffith, one of the reasons why I like it is I feel it's quite literal. And for me, that means there's a lot of information that Ralph T. Griffith has tried to preserve by doing a literal translation. So we can actually reconstruct what's going on here. Now, a lot of people say that Sanskrit cannot be, or the text, the Vedas in Sanskrit cannot be directly translated to English, and that's perfectly acceptable in my book. I feel the same. It's quite difficult to translate what's in one language to another language. But I feel Ralph T. Griffith has done a fabulous job in translating the Vedas, simply because when I read it, for example here, thus by fine fingers purified, he has not taken the effort to translate it further. So we can actually try and deduce what's going on here and make sense of it on our own. There's another very nice translation by Dr. Tulsi Ram. I haven't read all of it, but I've read a little bit of it, and whatever I read, I liked very much. Now, Dr. Tulsi Ram, in contrast to Ralph T. Griffith, explains a lot about what's going on. So he does the job of the translation. So I like to build things on my own. I like to deduce things on my own. So I prefer Ralph T. Griffith's translation. And for a person like me, this is very nice, because I feel this is like a literal translation here. So I can actually deduce what's going on. In this case, I feel thus by fine fingers purified. What that line is trying to say is the fingers are used to purify something. And in this case, if it's a libation, now why would you use the fingers to purify a liquid? So probably this is related to soma, or the clipped grass, where you probably have to put grass into a liquid, and then they run it through the fingers so that the grass or the pieces of the grass get stuck on top of the fingers and the liquid goes down. It's like crushing, essentially taking a lump of grass mixed with whatever other liquid and then crushing it, so the fine liquid comes out through your hands. So when I read thus by fine fingers purified, that's what I'm imagining, that they're taking a lump of that clipped grass or soma preparation and they're crushing it so that they can extract the liquid out of that. So visualizations like this, I feel Ralph T. Griffith's text that provide me, I like that very much. That's why I choose Ralph T. Griffith. Okay, let's go to the next line. Urged by the holy singer, sped by song, come, Indra, to the prayers of the libation pouring priest. Beautiful, beautiful. And I want to take some time here, because I find a very odd piece of text in that line. Now it says urged by the holy singer. That's reasonably straightforward. Probably the priests or whoever is preparing the invocation is a holy singer, and whoever is a holy singer, whoever it is, it's fine. But the next part, it says sped by song, and I find that very odd. In hymns 1 and 2, we've come across the invoker saying, come hitherward, or they're asking the gods, come. So that's reasonable. It's like somebody singing and somebody praying and saying, okay, come gods, we're here, come to us. That's fine. But here it says sped by song. Now that's odd. Why would a god be sped by song? It's almost as if the hymn is suggesting that it's like a location mechanism. So if somebody sings a song, the gods can somehow find where the person is by listening to the song. And perhaps I'm really speculating, or I'm really constructing a lot of ideas on very weak foundation. It's probably the counter to that is, okay, the hymns are just a song, they're not really any location mechanism or whatever it is. But I found those choice of words by Ralph T. Griffith quite interesting. Sped by song. So I feel there's more to the hymns than meet the eye. Perhaps there are other parts of the ritual that call on these gods in some form, and maybe they're not really captured here. And what we see here, sped by song, maybe it's trying to say sped by the song and the ritual. But whatever it is, I feel probably these hymns are not simply just songs that you sing to the gods. Perhaps the people who are singing these songs, or they were using these songs, they perhaps believed that the gods would come to them if the song was sung. The reason why I say that is those words, sped by song, at least I would not use those words in that form. So that's my speculation. It's pure speculation. I don't know. I wasn't there 2000 years ago when these texts were written or whenever they were written. So that's speculation from my side, but I find those choice of words very interesting, inspired by song. So let's see if the hymns tell us more about what's going on over there, or if they shed more light on that. Inspired by song, come Indra to the prayers of the libation pouring priest. So the priest is pouring libation. That's reasonably straightforward. Okay, let's go to the next line. Approach, O Indra, hasting thee, lord of bay horses, to the prayers. In our libation take delight. Approach, O Indra, that's reasonably straightforward. The invokers are asking Indra to approach. Hasting thee, okay, haste again is speed and swiftness. So that I feel relates to the previous line, which is sped by song. So hopefully the hymns give us more clues as to what's going on over there with the god speeding up. Lord of bay horses. So Indra is a lord of bay horses, and a bay horse is just a horse, and it's a color. The bay is a color of a coat. That's pretty nice. So Indra is a lord of horses. So if I remember correctly, these Vedas were written a long time ago. So perhaps in that time, horses were something of value. So Indra, being the lord of horses, perhaps puts him as a very rich god. Now libation take delight. Again, some sort of liquid, and the invokers are asking Indra to take delight the libations they offer. Okay, let's go to the next line. Ye Vishwadevas who protect, reward, and cherish men, approach. Your worshippers drink offering. Okay, now I feel we've been introduced to a new set of characters, the Vishwadevas. So we've had Agni, Vayu, Indra, Varuna, Mitra, Ashwins, and now we have Vishwadevas. In between we had Nasatyas. So that's related to Ashwin if you look it up on the web. So let's see who these Vishwadevas are. Ye Vishwadevas who protect, reward, and cherish men, approach. Your worshippers drink offering. So these are the invokers are saying, Vishwadevas, approach us and we've offered you a drink. And I feel that's probably some sort of libation or whatever it is that the worshippers are offering. Let's go to the next line. Ye Vishwadeva, so I forgot to mention Ye Vishwadeva. So again, just like the Ashwins, there's more than one Vishwadeva because Ye is a plural of thou. Ye Vishwadevas, swift at work, come hither quickly to the draught, as milch kine hasten to their stalls. Beautiful. The draught, we've come across that word draught before. It's to draw out. And that was, if I remember correctly, was used in relation to Soma before. So I think the drink offering is probably talking about Soma here. And milch kine is reasonably straightforward. Milch is just a milk-giving cow, and kine is the plural of cows. So milch kine is multiple milk-giving cows. Hasten to their stalls, and stall is a stable or a shed. So Vishwadeva, swift at work, come hither quickly to the draught or Soma drink, as the milk-giving cows hasten to their stables. So it's interesting that Vishwadevas are being spoken of in the same line as milk-giving cows. Perhaps they're related to cows, like how Indra is a lord of bay horses. Perhaps Vishwadevas have some sort of relation to milk-giving cows. Let's see. Okay, let's go to the next line. The Vishwadevas, changing shape like serpents, fearless, void of guile, bearers, accept the sacred draught. Beautiful. I feel this line gives so much information about the Vishwadevas. The Vishwadevas changing shape like serpents. So changing shape like serpents, I feel, says two things. One is they're shapeshifters, and that line appears to suggest that serpents or snakes are also shapeshifters. Okay, so that's interesting. Fearless, okay, that's reasonably straightforward. Void of guile. Void of guile here, okay, void is not being there, empty, and guile is being, some sort of cunning. So void of guile in this case, I feel that Vishwadevas are not cunning. They do not have cunning in them. And I feel that's a very interesting description there, because they are shapeshifters, like the serpents, but at the same time, they're also void of guile. So it's very interesting that the line is saying something like that. And they're bearers. Bearers is to basically carry something or bear something. So let's see what, as we go along, I hope the hymns reveal what the Vishwadevas actually bear or carry. except the sacred draft, I feel that's related to Soma. So let's talk a little bit more about the Vishwadevas and what that last line was trying to say about Vishwadevas, because I felt that that's very interesting. They're shapeshifters like serpents, they're devoid of guile. So I feel that line is telling us a lot of things. I feel, okay, serpents are devoid of guile and serpents are shapeshifters, and Vishwadevas are shapeshifters who are like serpents who are devoid of guile. So I feel there was a lot of information crammed in that one line, but beautifully said, in my opinion. So we now have another set of characters being introduced. Let's see what the hymns tell us more about the Vishwadevas as we go along. Let's go to the next line. Saraswati, beautiful. We have another character being introduced. We've had Ashwins, we've had Vishwadevas. If you check it up on the web, Nasatyas are Ashwins. If you didn't know that, I would assume Nasatyas are one more, but there's just one line over there, so probably I would not pay much attention to Nasatyas. Without that, this hymn is beautiful. It's already introduced two new characters, the Ashwins and the Vishwadevas, and now we have Saraswati, so three new characters. Saraswati, who purifies, wealthy through rites in holy rites, love, rich in prayers, our sacrifice. Beautiful. So Saraswati, who purifies. So Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. If you've grown up in India, that's what you know about Saraswati. If you didn't know that, let's see who Saraswati is. Let's try to deduce who Saraswati is without that information. Saraswati, who purifies. So Saraswati is someone who purifies, wealthy through rites and holy rites. That's very interesting. Wealthy through rites. So rite, we know, we've come across that word before, and that is essentially some sort of repetitive set of actions, a ritual. So Saraswati is wealthy through rites in holy rites. So it appears every time a holy rite is performed, Saraswati becomes more and more wealthy somehow. Very interesting. Let's see how that proceeds. Now the next line, love rich in prayers, our sacrifice. This is one, again, I probably shouldn't keep praising Ralph T. Griffith's translation too much lest it bores people who are listening, but this is one of the reasons why I like Ralph T. Griffith's translation. Now that line, love rich in prayers as sacrifice, I feel is perhaps a literal translation from the Sanskrit text, and you have to rearrange it a little bit to try and understand what's going on over there. Love rich in prayers as sacrifice, essentially, I feel is trying to say, love our sacrifice. The invokers are trying to tell Saraswati, love our sacrifice, that is rich in prayers. So this is the part I like about while reading the Rig Veda. You just have to rearrange it a little bit to see what the line is trying to get at. Okay, let's move on to the next line. Inciter of all pleasant songs, inspirer of all gracious thought, Saraswati, accept our right. Beautiful. So the line is saying Saraswati is the inciter of all pleasant songs, and who's an inciter? Someone who stirs up or excites, arouses or goads into action or to set in motion. So Saraswati is someone who starts the process of creation of a pleasant song. Saraswati is also the inspirer of all gracious thought. So inciter is to start something or to excite something, whereas inspire is to infuse into the mind, to communicate to the spirit. So those are two beautiful words that are used there. One is to incite, which is to excite or to start something, and to inspire, which is to put something into the mind. And the invoker appears to say, okay, Saraswati is the cause of both, and gracious here in this case is just warmly courteous, tactful, or compassionate. Beautiful. Saraswati, accept our right. Wonderful. So it appears so far that Saraswati is related strongly to pleasant songs and gracious thought. And those of us who grew up in India, we know Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. But if we didn't know that, we already are getting a lot of clues from that line as to who Saraswati is. Okay, let's go to the next line. Saraswati, the mighty flood, she with her light illuminates. She brightens every pious thought. Beautiful. So the flood in this case is an overflow of water from a lake or body. Now they're not saying Saraswati is a body of water, but they're saying Saraswati is like the mighty flood. Very interesting. So I feel in this case Saraswati is somehow related to the flood. It's not very clear how she is related to the flood, whether she causes the flood or if she is the flood herself. But let's see as we go along how if the hymns tell us more. Actually, I've been referring to Saraswati as she, and now that I look back at the lines, it's only now in line 12 that Saraswati is being referred to as she. Otherwise, before that, mm, yeah, line 10 and 11, it wasn't that. No problem. Saraswati, the mighty flood, she with her light illuminates. To illuminate is to shine light on something, and I find this is very interesting because we've had radiant gods, we've had lords of splendor. Ashwins are the lords of splendor. Indra has been referred to as bright in this hymn, if I remember correctly, and we've had Agni being referred to as the radiant one. So now we have Saraswati who illuminates. So it may be the case, maybe the hymns will later call Saraswati as being someone bright herself, but the hymns right away after introducing Saraswati are defining Saraswati as someone who shines the light. So she shines the light as compared to being bright herself. She may be bright too, but she's the one who shines the light. And the last one, she brightens every pious thought. Beautiful. So pious is related to being devout or religious thought, I feel, in this case. So Saraswati is related to holy rites. So she's also related to pious thought. But overall, I feel that those last three lines give a beautiful description about Saraswati. She's a purifier, she's wealthy through holy rites, and she's the illuminator and promoter of thought. And I say that because she's the inciter of pleasant songs. She inspires gracious thought, and she illuminates. She illuminates with her light. So I feel those three lines are trying to say a lot about who Saraswati is in relation to thought. We've had Vayu and Indra being referred to as rich and spoil, Agni as the Hotar, Ashwins as those with nimble hands and miracle workers, wondrous deeds, wonder workers, Varuna and Mitra being the cherishers of law, and then we've had Vishwadevas who are shapeshifters like serpents but devoid of guile, and now we have Saraswati who's being referred to in relation to thought or things that are related to thinking again and again. So it's very nice. I feel the hymns very early on are trying to establish the area of expertise of each of these gods. And Saraswati is like the mighty flood, or the lines are Saraswati, the mighty flood. So we need to know, rather not that we need to know, let's see what the hymns tell us more, what the hymns tell about Saraswati as we go along in relation to the flood. But it's reasonably clear. I say reasonably because probably there'll be more description as to who Saraswati is, but it's reasonably clear so far that Saraswati is somehow related to thought or thinking. And Saraswati, we also know Saraswati is not Agni, Indra, or the Ashwins because Saraswati illuminates. Maybe as we go along, Saraswati will also be referred to as someone who is bright, but the hymns have specifically told us Saraswati illuminates. So she's the one who shines the light, whereas we know Agni, Indra, and the Ashwins are bright themselves. So I feel that is a wonderful differentiator between all these entities. Okay, that's all I have for you all today, and wish you all a good week ahead.